Good morning and welcome to another episode of Moms in Real Estate in the Morning. Extra special because this is our Money Matters edition with our in-house money expert, Danielle Mckinley. Hello, friend.
Hello. Good to see you.
What did you say, Kristen?
I said good morning.
Good morning. Well, Kristen and I were excited because just before we got on, we were talking to Danielle, and today Danielle's going to talk to us about the smart way to lose money. So if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what the heck's going to, because I'm really good at losing money, but I don't know if I'm doing it very smartly. But you're going to be talking to us today about something that neither Kristen nor I knew what it was. And so it is called tax loss harvesting. Did I get that right?
You got that right. Yes.
All right. You got to tell us all the details.
Okay, so I'm going to break it down in an analogy that a real estate agent will understand to explain what it is. Okay, so imagine like you're flipping two houses and you make $20,000 on one house, but you lose $10,000 on another house. Okay, so if you only tell the IRS about the win, you'll get taxed on $20,000. But if you also show them the loss, you'll only get taxed on the profit difference, which is $10,000. So that's an example of tax loss harvesting. It basically means that you're selling an investment at lost money so that you can use that loss to cancel out your win when the tax time hits. Okay, so this is an investment strategy that you use in your investment accounts. You're not your tax investment accounts. And real estate pros, they do this all the time in other areas, but oftentimes we resist the investment side because we don't know about it.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. We obviously trust you that anything you're bringing us is legal and it's powerful, but it sounds like this is something that is highly underused.
Very underused, and we'll always use your disclaimer. So you always want to check with your CPA or your CFP, your financial advisor, but all of the stuff that I'm sharing with you are things that I am doing and have legally worked through with my advisement team.
Why do you think it's so underused?
It's the same thing as though, like with money, the whole like taboo thing around it is that we aren't taught about it. So it's, you don't know what you don't know. And it's not something that's easily explained. One of the gifts that I have is taking complex things and making them simple to understand without making you feel like, oh gosh, like you're dumb, right? So that's why like my husband is a CFP, right? So when we have these conversations, he'll talk to me about things and I'm like, are you saying that to clients? And he'll be like, yeah. I'm like, you can't say it like that. It sounds like I understand it and you're making me confused. So that's why it's a confusing topic.
Well, and also I think it's like you said, I mean, we're not taught financial literacy, right? And then there's like a level of shame that comes with it. Even when you achieve being a high level earner, it's like, oh, I've learned how to make money and how to be successful as a business owner, but then you feel failure because you haven't learned how to manage that money. And so I remember when I finally was, probably 8-10 years ago, when I was finally at the point where I was like, okay, I need to sit down with the financial advisor. Like the first words out of his mouth were, I'm going to dumb this down for you. And I just was like horrified. Like, and don't get me wrong, I have thick skin and I've probably said, and I understand the quote, but like, it just horrified me. Like, okay, like thanks so much for taking pity on me. Right. And then from that point on, I had a heightened sensitivity to everything he said because I didn't feel like I was good enough. Right. And then I was a big dummy and didn't do what I should have done for years because of that. Right. So I love that your husband has you, because just this weekend, I was telling all my kids, all the different IRAs we needed to open. And they were like, well, who the heck do we do this with? And I was like, I think Danielle's husband, I think he can do it.
That is correct.
He like geeks over the paperwork stuff. It's his favorite. He's the best admin on planet Earth. But to your point, Randi, I think actually when you make more money and you still don't know this, the shame intensifies, because for whatever reason, we have this misconception that like, oh, now we're making money, so all of a sudden we should understand this stuff. And so I actually find that people who are higher earners feel more resistance around learning this stuff because they just assume they should know it because they make good money. And that's just not the case.
Yeah, that's so good. So walk us through this. Like, we have a mom that's listening. Like, is this one of the things we talked about in a past episode was like the Augusta rule. And we talked about the fact that there's like not an entry bar, there's not a minimum income level, like who can be using this and how they can be using it. Can you walk us through some of that so that our moms, as they're watching, they can kind of identify if this is something that they should be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to walk you through how I use it. Okay. So it doesn't matter what the level is, it doesn't matter what you're at, you can use the right way. So one of the things that people resist when it comes to working with an investment consultant is paying for like a managed service account. And that's where they're managing your investments in the stock market. Okay. And the reason that it's in benefit to enroll in something like that with like a Fidelity or a Schwab is because they will automatically tax loss harvest for you in a managed service account. Okay. So how I do it is I put all of my money into my individual brokerage for the year, and I make all my investments there. And then when I do my SO2 in November, that's when I plan on how much cash am I going to pull out from my individual brokerage to invest in my 401k, SEP IRA, Roth, etc. Okay. And so what this basically does is it puts the money sort of in like a staging account, your brokerage account, and you get to maximize the tax loss harvesting there before you move your money. Follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the thing that you want to know is that when you move money into like a SEP IRA, a Roth, a tax deferred account, it has to be on earned income, right? So if you crushed it in the stock market, you just have to be careful that the cash you're pulling out actually was money you put in that same year. Okay, and so that's where like having an investment consultant or someone who understands this can really help make it easy and just tell you what that amount is. But that's how I utilize tax loss harvesting in my investment portfolio.
So you just said something that I think is so key for agents. So kind of the path that we go through as agents is like, can I make it in this business? Okay, I can make it in this business. I can close some deals. Then like we got to figure out how to hire. Then we have to figure out how to run this business. And then we have to figure out how to run a profitable business. And a lot of times we build this big business that isn't as profitable as we go solo. So as we go through the process, we start realizing, oh, I need an accountant. I need a CPA. I need this different things, right? And a lot of us have tax issues. A lot of us, that was my story. I had tax issues, right? So then I wanted a CPA. Bless you, Kristen. I wanted a CPA. And I got the CPA, but what you just said was like gold. And I only wish somebody would have said it so that I could have picked up on it 5 years ago. The strategist. So what I thought when I finally got my CPA is I finally thought I would have somebody telling me like, like, wait a minute, here's where you can save or here's where you can do that. And the CPA actually didn't do that at all. Not at all. And it was a conservative CPA. So like she like amended taxes to make us owe more. I'm not even kidding. Like Jordy we went from one tax guy to her owing nothing to I'm like, oh, we got a new CPA and I'm so excited. And then she re-amended and Jordy went from no taxes owed to 13,000. And so Jordy was in the business and had her first tax debt. But I think that that's really, really important. So can you talk to us a little bit about like, so how do they find a strategist and when should they find a strategist? Because that's another thing. I did reach out to somebody once I realized I needed a strategist, but they were like, you're not quite there. I remember they told me back then that there was like some number, I don't remember what it was, but you need to be making X before you really want to look at strategy. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would say I probably disagree with them. And you like the soonest that you can afford strategist, get a strategist. Right. And if you're like, I'm just not ready, I can't afford that. That's where I become like a liaison or a hybrid for people because I can share from the business side of scaling multiple businesses and how to structure things and things that I've personally used that I know work that I can structure for you. And then when you're ready, like it's not am I ready for strategy? It's like, do you want to collapse the time? And get somebody that can show you how to do it and not make the mistakes and not have the tax debt and not have the surprises. That's why I say like strategy, if you can do it and if you understand it, do it from day one because you're building your foundation and you're collapsing the time so you don't have to go through the mistakes that the three of us have all gone through in 5 minutes.
Yeah, huge. And I'll do a shout out to your tax coach right now, who's the sponsor of the podcast, my Moms in Real Estate podcast, but it is night and day difference when you work with one and you have like somebody guiding you because it's true. Like before I used to have somebody that just would say, how much did you make and how much did you spend? And then give me an amount that I needed to pay. And so just a huge, huge difference.
Well, and the big difference is like, so a CPA, they're trained to file your taxes in accordance with the tax law. they are not there to dig in and like lift up the roof on your business and really see what's going on. They're just going off of whatever you provide them. Where a tax strategist is going to understand your business type, the opportunities for write-offs, and actually walk you through like, here are the things you should be doing in order to bring down the tax debt. And so there's just, we assume like, oh, you're a CPA, and I did the same thing. Like I got so frustrated and moved through like several CPAs because I'm like, I'm advocating for myself, but I didn't realize, no, we need to ask, like, do you offer strategy?
Yeah. It makes me think of like when we're building our real estate business, right? Like the agent that's a brand new agent that's like, I absolutely don't want to invest in coaching. And I always like, that's a shortcut, right? That's the cheat code you want in your business. And so it's like the strategist is the same thing, because one of the things that we're super passionate about as moms in real estate is making sure that women have life-giving and highly profitable businesses. And that doesn't mean that that doesn't necessarily mean the highest level of production, right? And I know that me personally, like I think back over the last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and if I would have had a strategist when it was like raining money, right? When it was like the cocaine fueled frat party of 2020, if I would have had a strategist that was like, hey, time out, like, let's do more with this money. Let's like protect this money. Let's do this. Let's allocate whatever, right? Like I was focused on building the business and not necessarily, allocating the money, right? And so I just think that it's one of those things that is so valuable, even more so for a mom that values her time, because time is money. And having that strategist, like you can just little tiny tweaks, like when I'm coaching my agents and I'm mentoring my agents, I'm like, well, what if we just, we get 2 more closings from this source versus this source? What is that to your bottom line? And all of a sudden it's like a $10,000 difference. And so those little tiny tweaks that I would imagine you can do in their business are going to pay off huge and translate to like more time in their life with their family.
Totally. Yeah. It's so the answer is, our long answer for all of you listeners is get strategy as soon as possible. Get strategy as soon as possible.
Everybody just needs a Danielle in their life, right?
Oh,
they do.
and Danielle's like, Randi says this, and yet she gets on this call with me and then she doesn't follow up. So I'm guilty of it, but I'm working, right? That's the nature of agents. We're always working on all the things.
Well, and that's the thing with money, right? Is because of that. So, we invest in sales, we invest in marketing, we invest in all of it, but we resist money, and it's easy to be like, oh, that's a money-making opportunity, so I'm going to skip my SO2, or I'm going to reschedule that call to restructure my business or to get some feedback on it. But the reality is you have to look at it like your money meetings are revenue generating too. And it's a hard flip it's hard to rewire that because we naturally as humans resist things that we're not good at or that we don't know a lot about. So totally normal.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I think that is the biggest thing, is like where you have to like change your mindset. Even like it's the same thing as if you get business from social media and you're like, oh my gosh, I spent so much time on Instagram today. And you're like, well, I actually get business from there. But it's like this mental block. Same thing, right? Where you're like, oh, this is just like taking me away from lead generation. But I really think that shifting your mindset, showing up to those has been such a game changer. Somebody listening might not know what SO2 is. So why don't you explain that real quick?
Yeah, so SO2 is a fun acronym. I'm a huge lover of acronyms. It actually stands for the State of the Union. And all it is a monthly money meeting that you have with yourself. And I created a framework and a bunch of tools and resources to help you run your money meeting seamlessly and to walk into it not feeling overwhelmed and like, I don't even know where to begin. I give you a blueprint and a roadmap for how to do it and start to gain that financial literacy and empower yourself in your decisions. And then you end up starting, I mean, Kristen, you've been doing yours for almost a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you has there been a shift? Like if you look at like your first SO2 to where you are now, like what's the difference in your feel, like how you feel in your body when you go to that meeting?
Yeah, I feel a lot better. I still resist it. Do not get me wrong. And I still skip it, but I am showing up more often than I ever would have. And I just feel like I'm way more dialed in. Like, and as much as like I get stressed out around that topic, when I'm done with it, I feel really good. So I feel like it's like going to the gym. Like you don't want to go, but then you're happy afterwards. So it's the same exact thing with this for me. It's like, I do not want to go, but I know that the feeling, once it's all done, I feel lighter. And so I think it's a really great thing that I have in my schedule.
Afterwards, I feel like I just adulted so hard, and I'm like so proud of myself. I'm like, I just adulted so hard.
That's so true.
A whole new level of adulting every time I finish mine.
It's truly a muscle, right? And once you start to see, like, it takes a little while to gain momentum. It's like anything. Like, I've heard some of the real estate coaches talk about how someone's worked a lead pillar and they've worked it for 2 months and they're like, oh, it's not working. So they move to something else. It's the same thing. It takes time for that momentum to build. And then once you start to see how it's changing your money trajectory, then you're like, oh, okay, I want to keep going. I want to get stronger.
Yeah. You guys have everything. I feel like it's everything. It's going to take a long time. So just be patient with all the things.
Yeah. And stop getting ready to get ready. I think that's where, and we can probably wrap on that note, but one of the agent traits that I have is like, okay, well, I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to really level up my production next quarter. And then I'll start it next quarter. Right. And like, we have that whole battle of like pride and mindset and like all the different things. And like, we're getting ready to get in position, like start right now where you are, do the work where you are, love yourself enough to have the strategist now, because it'll help you once you get to work and get it going.
Yeah. Just like everyone has a story. Everyone has a block around money, and everybody wants, like, we all became entrepreneurs because we want more time freedom and to make a bigger impact. And in order to do that, you have to have some money knowledge. And it doesn't matter where you are, you can start at any time.
I love it.
I love that. So thanks everybody for tuning in for another episode of Money Matters. Of course, you can find Danielle inside of our community and Moms in Real Estate. She's always in there sharing and answering questions, but also you can follow her on Instagram. We'll drop her handle, and you can also watch all of her past episodes where she gives us all kinds of good financial insight on our YouTube channel, Moms in Real Estate. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Oh, and next week we're diving into YouTube strategy. So if you need a lead source, make sure you tune in for that next week.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye.